Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to COASTER-net Update. We've got some news out of King's Dominion tonight where there are heavy rumors and actual photo evidence from various sources at this point showing that there is track on site at King's Dominion. And yes, Danny, this is the SNS Free Spin track there, Free Fly if you're a Six Flags fan. So this was kind of the rumor earlier in the year. I don't know. Did we do a show on this? I don't even remember.
We did way back when, right? Because we talked originally when there was some leaked layout that looked very similar to the B&M Wing Coaster Hot Go Park, a near clone of that with a little bit less. I think it didn't have the vertical loop, and then it it was either missing the helix at the end or had an extra helix. I can't remember. It was quite a while ago. And then after that, the rumor came out of a SNS 40 Free Fly. But that news, originally the thought was the Wing Coaster would be taking the place of Volcano. And then once they announced that they were removing the crypt, the thought that an SNS Free Fly could take the place of the crypt started creeping up. So there was thought that maybe both of those coasters would still eventually happen, but it seems like the sooner of the two now might be the SNS Free Fly, because there's photos floating around on the internet showing that there may be track on site that is SNS/RMC Free Fly track.
And that's not uncommon for King's Dominion to put their track in the parking lot. You can go watch, there's some old COASTER-net videos on this YouTube station. I think of Devin dancing around the Dominator track when it sat out there. I-305 track was put out in the parking lot. So this is not an uncommon occurrence for King's Dominion. The track is green. It's just the track, no supports. Green track, Anaconda's green, not a whole lot of other green in the park. I guess it depends on, if they're going to keep that area themed to that, Africa theme that they have going on, or if that whole area is going to get a whole new theme. But if you remember, also when they closed Volcano, they put up those fences all around, and there was that one teaser poster that still held the African theme. With the birds and the elephants and the giraffes. So maybe we're going to see that African theme held true. Green doesn't dispel me from that, right?
No, I mean, in some regards, it might lead you to think there's going to be some minor retheming, perhaps. But I would say, I guess my stance on the matter would be, well, if you're going to put in a Free Fly and potentially a SNS Wing or a B&M Wing Coaster, assuming that that's still going to be the plans. We don't know how plans are changing here. With the COVID situation, we don't know how some of these parks' plans are changing. But if we can assume that both coasters will still eventually come, could we see a retheming of the area to some sort of flying creatures type? If you remember many years ago, as part of one of the COASTER-net coaster drafts, yours truly did a completely complete area themed to birds. I had, I think, griffin or bird-like creatures. I think I had griffin. I had talon. I think I had one other one there. I might have had firehawk or something like that.
Well, clearly you didn't have the best bird coaster, so.
Or I might have had Tatsu. I think Tatsu might have been my third one there.
Yeah, that's not the best bird coaster though. That's you're missing the best bird coaster. If you don't remember.
Oh, Phoenix, right. Phoenix, of course.
It's all around back here, Danny Miller.
Nope, it's definitely not. I don't see it anywhere over there. you could maybe do something like that. Of course, that would sort of
Isn't it a little?
that would no pun intended. That would leave Avalanche out in the cold. But Avalanche has never really fit into the whole idea of
No.
the Congo and
No.
a volcano and everything. Having an avalanche right next to a volcano doesn't make much sense anyway.
No.
So I'm sure you could kind of shoehorn it in there.
And is it a little bit strange though, now that I'm thinking about it, to put a free fly next to a wing coaster, considering that they're two the seating configurations are essentially the same? Like, isn't it a little strange? Like, I don't know. The whole thing doesn't, and
that's the reasoning for saying that the free fly is coming in instead of the wing coaster that we heard about earlier.
Yeah, and I know the Kings Dominion fans, and you might be one of them, and I might be one of them. I don't think that this SNS spinning coaster is going to satisfy the people out there who are demanding something in return for Volcano. That and Danny, this is almost a pseudo replacement for the Crypt. I thought the Crypt was one of the best of all the top spins anywhere. That one had one of the most intense ride sequences left. Obviously, all of them are closing up left and right all over the place. But that one was a legit ride sequence. And we have a video of that on the COASTER-net YouTube here somewhere as well, when I went a few years ago. But a free fly, to me, is a suitable replacement for that, but definitely not even touching the loss of Volcano. You still have that huge hole in your lineup, something that needs to be filled with something very unique. And I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is off the top of my head. Is it a launched B&M invert? Is it something else? I don't think a hyper coaster fits that bill. I just don't know at this point. And I'm getting a little bit concerned that with Corona and all that plan is going to be put down further down the road, and that the Kings Dominion fans are going to be out in the cold again.
Yeah, and that's going to be the big bummer of this, is if we get an SNS free fly instead of the B&M wing coaster. I wouldn't complain about getting both, but certainly would not be pleased with the SNS free fly instead of the wing coaster. But as we know, there's a lot of plans changing. The last 6 months, a lot of parks have changed a lot of plans, and there's been a whole lot of things that are affecting the parks right now. So we really can't say for sure. But again, it does certainly seem like there's track on site. At least that's what it sounds like and looks like. So it certainly seems like there's a free fly coming to Kings Dominion at some point. It's just a matter of if there's anything else that's going to follow it.
Well, Danny, and officially we can say this, that as it stands right now, 2021 will officially be the year of the SNS free spin roller coaster, because we will now have 2 new coasters, both of them of the same model. Adventureland's getting one, Kings Dominion probably getting one.
Yeah.
I don't know how you're gonna vote for that in the golden tickets. Best new ride, they're both the same ride. I don't know how you split. Does it split down party lines? I don't know. Does it split down regional lines? Is this a north versus south thing, an east versus west thing? I don't know. How is that going to go?
I don't know. That's it's certainly going to be interesting to see how people go there.
So we will keep you updated on all the latest rumors and news as it comes about. Not a whole lot going on out there, like we said, but stay safe, and as always, ride on, Ride Warriors.
Thanks, guys. See you next time.